The market shows more and more parabolic tendencies, especially in small and mid-cap stocks. But as alluring as they may be, they also come at great risks, for we are currently at a most critical crossroads, so be careful or get burned. The market offers a wide array of fantastic swing trade prospects, in fact so many that I have a hard time choosing. And the best part of all is that several of them show clear parabolic tendencies. This awakes me as effectively as being thrown into freezing water. But parabolic tendencies or not, they certainly don't come without risks. For there's a major caveat here that you must know about, one that I'll disclose after the technicals as it'll make more sense to go through it then. Having said that, you do wise in staying tuned till the end, for this entire episode is a friendly warning to any swing trader out there, as I want you to stay clear of trouble and nasty blows. There are a few dozen companies that show great upsides, however the ones we'll discuss today are Bambuser, Angler Gaming and Oversun. So fasten your seatbelts, for we'll go through them quite rapidly. If you have any questions, please post them in the comment section below, and of course, not financial advice, and like and subscribe. Angler Gaming is in a rock-solid uptrend. It was just rejected at the 1.618 fib target at 23 kroner on the weekly. This is a key area of resistance. However, the trend is strong, but the weekly RSI is a bit too high, at least if it were to have fuel enough to go bonkers from here. The 23 kroner level is absolutely key. If we can break above it and perhaps get a retest of this support from above to cool off the RSI, the next technical target would be at 29.90 kroner, or shall we say 30 sharp to keep it simple. What I'm looking for is a close above this 23 kroner level. Before that, there is no chance in hell I'll put my money at stake here, as any failure to break above this is highly likely a potential top. And we certainly don't want to buy at a top, do we? If this were to be a temporary top, the short-term downside is either the previous support at 17 kroner, which also gets support from the 382 fib, or the previous all-time high and 0-point fib at around 15 kroner. Given the strong forces in play in Angler Gaming, such move would likely just be temporary. However, that doesn't mean I want to sit through it with money on the line. Just like Cancera, Bambooser suffered a nasty blow at massive sell-off volumes, a minus 40% drop in just 4 days in this case. However, the stock has found a solid support at the 618 fib, which also coincides with the previous all-time high for a horizontal support and the EMA 20 on the weekly. The long-term trend is solid, as well as the weekly RSI that indicates continual moves to the upside, although the daily RSI shows temporary weakness and indecisiveness. Having said that, it did make a clear lower bullish red RSI touch at the very local bottom. If this holds, it's strong. But even more importantly, if the price can find its way above this sideways range box, Bambooser will also push above the Ichimoku clouds, and I won't expect too much resistance until the previous all-time high. And if we were to break above it, the first technical target would be the fib 1.618 and 3.618 fib at 1950 for a possible 72% upside if Bambooser were to break above the box. On the downside, however, the support box and diagonal support trend line are both key. These will likely coincide with the EMA 200 on the daily as well as the 786 fib. A break below these risk plunging the stock down as low as to 4.40 to 5 kroner. Even if this scenario is not too likely, you still don't want to be stuck with your foot in the shit if it were to occur. And do note that this doesn't necessarily apply to people who already own the stock, but to people who are looking at taking a position. Oversun 2 is in a strong overall uptrend. It has broken out of its temporary descending channel, which was a correction that found support at the 0.5 fib. Its pivotal local top at 70 kroner was broken in this continuation pattern, however it was immediately rejected. Breaking this level and staying above it is key for coherent strength in the upcoming weeks. And the more times a support or resistance line is tested, the weaker it gets. Never forget that. We might very well be in for another few retests given that we've just broken above the green Ichimoku Kumo, which now acts as support. This entire descending channel has stayed within a strong bullish red RSI channel. It even made a clear touch on the lower bullish red, which on its own is a major sign of strength. However, I do not like the current indecisiveness as the RSI struggles to break above the upper bearish blue. A closing above it would be duly needed. This of course we'd get if only we were to break above the 70 resistance level. If we zoom out a bit, we may be in the making of a reversed head and shoulders. Of course, it's too early to tell, but if this were to be confirmed and broken out of, the technical target would be between 120 and 125 kroner. And in the short to mid term, the critical level in Ovzon is the support zone at 60 to 62. I would not like for this area to be broken, not at all. As you can see, all of these stocks show great upside short-term potentials, but also possible downsides that would be painful to anyone, no matter how short-term they were to be. And what these stocks all have in common is that they are at a short-term make it or break it crossroads. For taking any swing trades now with the pre-election volatility that likely lies ahead is extremely risky, especially unless you await technical breakout confirmations. And equally keep your eyes out for false breakout, which may and often do reverse down aggressively, thus catching most stockholders and traders off guard. This brings us to the caveat I mentioned at the beginning, and this is important, so listen carefully. Many indices, the Swedish OMXS30 being one of them, are closing in on their all-time highs. We just don't know what will happen once we get there, whether we'll simply sail past them or if we're in for a long due correction, however minor and however temporary. And as you've just seen, any such correction can and most likely will have a major short-term impact on each and every one of these stocks. And as a swing trader, those are exactly the type of bullets we want to dodge. If the general indices were to drop some 5 to 15%, we may safely expect small and mid-cap stocks like these to drop significantly more, probably in the 15 to 40% range, give or take. That's a significant move, and a significant move to avoid if we can. For doing so amounts to having more money to buy more stocks with whenever a correction occurs. I will make an extensive piece soon on what to expect once we reach the all-time high, for it is in fact a bit complex. It's a vital major junction with many different roads to go that all have grossly different outcomes. Despite the fact that many small and mid-cap stocks do show short-term parabolic tendencies, they still need to get their respective breakouts, because before they do, they're high risk and dangerous, and the risk to rewards are in fact unattractive at best. On a final note, I'm not here to piss on anyone's parade. I'm here to make money as a swing trader by staying tuned to reality. Realists will appreciate this and agree and stand tall when the dreamers and hooligans fail. Idealists, on the other hand, dislike any truth and reality that goes against their postmodern perception of the world or markets. Those people won't last long, and their money certainly won't. The question you might need to ask yourself at this critical point of the market is this: are you a realist or are you an idealist? That was all for now. Thank you and goodbye.